Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of AI Insiders with the AI Marketers Guild. I'm David Berkowitz, and it's a pleasure to get to host Michael Kingston today from Seeda.io. And Michael's one of our longer distance callers. I don't want to necessarily say longest distance because we have had some great guests from all around the world here, and we also have our AMG APAC series. But Michael wound up joining us on this stage at an uncomfortably early or late hour for him, based on as he chooses. And Seeda's been doing some fascinating work in marketing mix modeling, and been talking with him and his team for a good chunk of the year at least, if not longer, and learning quite a bit from them, and just always excited to hear more about how we really apply AI to this area. And we haven't talked about this much lately. So, Michael, welcome and good morning or good night.
Hey David, good morning, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, it'd be great to hear more about what you're up to and what you're excited about these days, and dive in. You're welcome to present or share as much as you like, or just keep this conversational. But yeah, glad to have you here.
Hey David, yeah, I guess just to introduce myself, I'm Michael Kingston. I'm the founder and CEO of Seeda.io, and we specialize in marketing mix modeling, and in particular bringing marketing mix modeling to businesses of all sizes. The biggest surprise people have when I meet them, that NMM is now cost effective and more readily available to businesses of all sizes, and it's no longer reserved for like the biggest companies in the world, and we're bringing it to mid-market businesses and enterprise businesses globally.
So, and I mean, when you say like of all sizes, because yeah, I mean, I'm used to seeing like the IAB reports and whatnot, where it's or talking to research firms where yeah, you have to spend a ton before you can even talk to them about any kind of media or marketing mix modeling. And so you seem to be saying that's not quite the case anymore.
No, just so Seeda is 5 years. I set up Seeda 5 years ago, and just in that short 5 year period, I've seen the cost of the technology that fuels MMM. I've seen the cost of it come way down, and then our mission here at Seeda is to try and bring the technology to as many relevant folks as possible. So the cost has come way down now to a point where w- um, we're bringing it to businesses that spend as little as $50,000 dollars a month on their marketing budget. And our fee, we have fees for all different types of businesses, but our entry level fee at the moment is $5,000 per month. So that's, when I started out 5 years ago, we couldn't possibly have delivered a meaningful MMM solution for $5,000 per month. But the underlying technologies such as machine learning have become very cost effective and very powerful. So yeah, we're now trying to bring it to those businesses. I would say in terms of revenue, it used to be reserved for the $1 billion plus in revenue.
Mhm.
Now we're working. Our smallest business does about 10 million in annual revenue and is growing rapidly and expanding their marketing mix. So we're able to now come in at the right time in that business's growth journey, and provide them with advanced marketing measurement, which ordinarily wouldn't have been available to that business just a few years ago.
And and so when talking about, yeah, because there are the two acronyms of MMM that I've heard, and marketing mix media modeling, and marketing mix modeling and media mix modeling, as I conflate the two myself here. Part of the problem are is when you're saying like yeah, the 50 grand marketing budgets and whatnot, like is that all in terms of working media? Are you looking at things that are not like paid media dollars as well? Do things like owned email channels or other things like that come into play here? Like, what are you even looking at?
Yeah, we define it, and I never get into a debate about which MM. So there's for the audience, predominantly I hear folks calling MMM marketing mix modeling,
Mhm.
but the traditional definition is more media mix modeling. At
Mhm.
Seeda, we define it as marketing mix modeling, and we look at the full marketing mix. It's not just media. It could be influencers. It could be physical events, email, as you said, email or CRM data. Yeah, we look at the full marketing mix.
Mhm.
It really only becomes very important in larger businesses. But yeah, we define it as a broader marketing mix, which means marketing mix modeling.
Mhm. Oh, and uh, so then like what's involved in modeling? Like how does the process even work?
Yeah. Okay. So keeping it high level, I can get into more
Yeah.
detail. So for us, there are various different techniques to marketing mix modeling. We believe in the most accurate possible model is going to give the very best results. So for those who know nothing about MMM, what it really is an AI algorithm that goes in and looks at all of your marketing spend. The underlying technology that we use is called a Bayesian machine learning algorithm.
Mhm.
So our process. So we've spent 5 years building a 30-day onboarding process where we come in. There's two really important parts to MMM. Firstly, there's the data that you're going to model. And it's the old saying around garbage in, garbage out.
Mhm.
If you feed garbage data into any algorithm, no matter how good that algorithm is, you're going to get garbage results. So during the 30 days that we onboard new customers, we spend at least 2 weeks making sure that the data that we're feeding in is not garbage. And we've developed a lot of automations for that. And so once we have uh, accessed the data, reviewed it, cleaned it, transformed it into more accurate data, that's our first step. And then the second step for every single customer, we're so passionate about building world leading MMMs. We build a custom, so we start from scratch with every single customer. We don't sell a self-service tool where you're getting an out of the box pre-configured model. We're actually customizing each model for each individual customer data set. And that's why we believe that every brand has unique data. So we believe every brand, to get the best results, needs a fully customized MMM model. And then once we add the two together, clean data with a custom model that's been trained by an expert. We use a lot of automation in the background to achieve that. And then after that 30 days, we call it our 30-day onboarding. We then are able to have a model that's ready for testing. We do rigorous testing before we use the model to actually predict any marketing mix results. And then once it's tested rigorously, where you then have a custom built algorithm or machine learning algorithm for your business that you can then use to ask it questions, and then as a marketer just get more accurate answers, more full picture answers for your business. And yeah, it's been working out very well for our customers so far.
Can I ask you a question? So the garbage in, garbage out makes perfect sense. I've lived that nightmare. But what about if the data's it's pretty good data, but it's all in silos. It doesn't talk to each other. One of the big challenges is unifying the data. So are you a middleware layer that sits on top and can go find it wherever it resides, or does it need to all be?
No, we tried to be the company that only worked with good data. And I quickly found out working in marketing, very few marketers have good data. We call it MMD, messy marketing data, because most marketers I've ever worked with are very embarrassed about their data because they just haven't had the time or the budget to sort out their messy marketing data. So what we've become is the full stack. We provide the full stack. We look at it as our job to go and find your data firstly. It could be in all sorts of places. We then unify it, to use your words, Aileen, pull it into what we call a big data warehouse. We do all of that on your behalf, and then we get it, we ingest it, we review it, we find out where the problems are. We stitch it all together. We use techniques called data transformation to stitch all that data from all the various different sources together. And then, we've come up with a very rigorous ingestion and data cleaning process to help you sort out your messy marketing data, so that at the end of that, then when we have to test it first before we model it. So we make sure that it's you can never get a data set 100% accurate, but we get our data sets very, very accurate, and then we make sure we have your approval that everything looks good, you and your team, before we actually begin the process of building the custom MMM for you.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I spent my life cleaning marketing messy data.
Yeah, most of us have. Thanks, Aileen.
And so I am curious, do you also see the market kind of heading toward this true MMM for all, like where there's a kind of good enough version that's the out of the box one that practically anyone could tap into, and then the like once you really want to make this work for you, then you need someone like yourselves that can create a custom model, albeit way more efficiently than you could have in the past.
Yeah, David, we've tried to build that kind of self-service tool, and we've spent years trying. At the moment, I would say, depending on the timeline, if you put a timeline of the next 3 to 5 years, I feel the market definitely moving in that kind of self-service direction. And then the more complex the data set that you have, you'll figure out quite quickly whether a self-service tool is going to add value for you that hasn't been configured or set up as custom as maybe you need it. So it's not a kind of a one size fits all technology. In my 5 years of experience in this space, it's very much you need to figure out first, okay, what sort of brand am I? What solution do I need? And then, there are open source tools that are available for free. You just need to have the skills to set them up. They're definitely a good start. And then the type of MMM we advocate for here in Seeda, if you're above that, 10 million in annual revenue and beyond, we advocate for actually coming in and doing a more rigorous job, because like I said at the start, the more work you put into it, the higher firstly the accuracy of the results you're going to get, and then the better predictive power that the algorithm's going to give you as well. Just to mention, MMM is actually the underlying technology is called Bayesian machine learning, which is a predictive algorithm. So it's really cool. It's like once you've built it and tested it and it's ready to go, and you literally start asking it questions, and it gives you predictive answers. So it's from sitting in my seat, bringing this sort of we call it a crystal ball for marketers, bringing it to marketers who, after 10 years, the last 10 years of marketing measurement have been quite chaotic predominantly because of the messy marketing data marketers have to deal with. Then that the whole world has shifted under our feet as a marketer because of all of the privacy changes that have happened in the last 10 years. So most marketers I speak to now are really are probably frustrated. They're very skeptical about the numbers that they are being given by their current provider because the landscape has changed so much. And yeah, it's really refreshing then to be able to bring a powerful predictive algorithm to marketers so that they can finally actually get some trust in the numbers that they're looking at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's your point of view? So I was part of IPG and reporting on all their media, and I'd like to understand your point of view of, letting the media agency doing the analytics and the marketing mix modeling versus the client doing them themselves. I have a bias, but I'd like to hear your opinion.
And well, a lot of people in the industry, you call it marking your own your own homework. Our view, we try to just collaborate with whoever it is that we're working with. So we don't have a very strong view either way. We have all sorts of dynamics working where, most of the time the brand will bring us in and we will work collaboratively and transparently with the agency or multiple agencies, with the brand and with our team. So it's a really cool collaboration between the three parties. Other times, agencies have brought us in, and they have worked very transparently with us as well. And yeah, I suppose after running dozens of these projects, yeah, I'm not biased one way or the other, Aileen, but yeah, I definitely, I don't, if an agency is involved, I've not come across this situation yet where a badly performing agency has brought us in. So I would say, yeah, the top 10% of the world's agencies are truly in it for the brand, for their clients. So whether they bring us in and the results say that the media channels that the agency are looking after are not performing better than maybe some other channels that the brand might be doing in-house themselves. So yeah, we're very lucky here at Seeda so far that we've been able to work with some very high integrity agencies. And yeah, it's very much we're at the early stage of MMM. I would say, even though MMM has been around for, decades, we're at the early stage of mass adoption of this new type of MMM, which is a Bayesian machine learning type of MMM. We're at the early phase, but yeah, I would say the top 10% of agencies are truly in it for the customer to win. So everyone is just looking for finally a clean set of data to make better decisions. And then I think as we progress as a business, Aileen, and we have more experience working with a broader set of agencies, I think, yeah, maybe if you speak to me in a few years' time, I might have a different bias, but that's my honest answer for you right now.
Love it.
Aileen, what's your bias?
Well, you called marking it your own homework. I call it letting the elephant watch the peanuts. But same thing. And the objectivity isn't always as good as you'd like.
Yeah, agreed.
Is it possible to see a demo?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So before I show you the actual the demo, Lisa, what I normally do is I give everyone this conceptual diagram first, right? So I just it helps people frame what they're about to see. So can everyone see my screen okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So David, you can see a series of blue moving dots.
There we go, yeah.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so what you're looking at here is the data flow that we believe at Seeda you need to set up to deliver highly accurate MMM. So on the left-hand side here, you've got all the different types of data. A good question earlier around marketing mix modeling. It's not just the digital media. It's all types of media that we bring in, from all of the sales data, all of the CRM or email marketing data, or other communications such as SMS, all the digital media, obviously, such as, TikTok, Facebook, etc. And then offline, for larger brands is a very big mix of the channel. So what we do first is we connect all that data. Like I said earlier, we spend a very big chunk of our time and bringing your data together, putting it into a single database, a big database called a cloud data warehouse. We've spent a few years writing data processing automations to clean it. And it's only then, once the data is processed and cleaned, we feed it into our marketing mix model, where we build a custom model for each person. And then once that's done and tested rigorously, we have a very rigorous testing regime here before we start on the right-hand side of the diagram here. Before we start talking about what we're going to use the MMM for, we do a very rigorous multi-week tests on the algorithm we've actually built to make sure that it's highly accurate and useful. And then once the testing is done, we break our insights and the value that we bring to our customers into these 6 categories, from budget optimization. And we've come up with an industry concept called iFactor, which I'll show you in a second. Predictive analytics, like I said, saturation curves for every marketing channel. Seasonality is in my experience, a very overlooked but very important input to any marketing decision. So MMM measures seasonality by default, and then the CFOs love our sales forecasting feature as well. So yeah, conceptually, this is what's under the hood of what I'm about to demo for you. Does that make sense to everyone, or would anyone got any questions? No, all good. Okay, so zooming back out, so this is what we call our MMM hub. So we've got we've built I think was it Aileen asked earlier, we've built a full suite of marketing measurements. So we've got on the left here, a traditional metrics hub, an MMM hub, which I'll take you through, our iFactor feature, which I'll take you through, and a business optimization hub. So firstly, MMM hub, the first thing we want to do is get the full marketing team on the same page. So this is what we present in real time. It's just, for example, a brand, this brand does about 8 channels. They do some above the line traditional marketing, and then they do a lot of digital. So what you're going to see here is bringing all that data. You would be amazed at the amount of marketers that have to work with incomplete and disjointed data sets. Mm-hmm. So the first thing we do is bring all that data out of its siloed systems and present it for you in a unified and accurate way. So here's, bringing the whole team together, where you can see every channel historically. You can go, but we typically go back 2 years to give a really good holistic view. We bring in then each channel and how that channel has contributed from an impressions perspective over time. So this is really just giving that first accurate step of what's actually happened historically. Then the first time you see the outputs of MMM, we call this our layer graph. This is what you're looking at here is a 2-year view. All your data has been passed through our algorithm, and then the MMM is assigning a contribution for each channel over the past. In this example, it's about 2.5 years. You can see about 10 different channels, and it's really, really liberating to say, you show this to a marketing team for the first time, because they'll have seen reports that are quite biased and quite disjointed. and never had a full picture. And then this is the first time they've seen the output of an algorithm. And you can go down to a weekly view, and you can start going into this very granularly if you want. The MMM we build gives you a week on week view. And then you can roll that up any way you like. So moving on then, performance perspective, it's our product. We've built a way for you to finally see what the ROI of each channel is in a very simple way. We can go down to the channel level, which you can see here, and we can also go down to the campaign level also, if that's what the level of detail you want to get into. So very clear. For a monthly period, for example, here's my ROI. I didn't realize that, my base was contributing so much to my marketing. Just to explain what base is, it's basically if you turned off all your marketing today, and most brands will have non-marketing impacts of sales. It will be brand effect. It could be market effect. But basically, if you got rid of all marketing, most brands would continue to make more sales. MMM, one of the neat features of MMM is it will allow you to measure that brand or other market factor inputs. So this is a really neat view. We call this next section our response curve. So this is where once the data is processed and pushed through the MMM model, it gives you a breakdown of how each channel is performing, and we try to narrow down the sweet spot of your marketing budget for each channel, and try and interpret where the point of diminishing returns for each channel. And of course, every week of the year will be different depending on each brand's unique seasonality. So this is an example of a YouTube view where it's approaching saturation, but it's not quite there. Search is an example of where a lot of brands we're seeing are saturated. So you'll see a channel for each week of the year. We'll try and give our clients a view as to where the channel is on this curve, and we're trying to avoid getting to a point where you're oversaturated and you're trying to find the holy grail for marketers, where's my sweet spot? When am I spending not enough? I don't want to spend too much. I don't want to spend too little. I want to find that sweet spot. And of course, as I said, seasonality is a massive factor. Channels change all the time. So we measure this on a weekly basis. So we're an always on marketing measurement solution. So yeah, these saturation curves change week on week, and you can come in here and check that out. Other things that the MMM measures are things like ad stock and lag analysis. So we would break down each channel's ad stock and lag analysis to try and understand the sweet spot for those metrics in that channel. And as I mentioned earlier, seasonality is such a big factor. So the algorithm, once we've set it up, it measures your seasonality across every channel, and we try to give you an overview of what your general trend of seasonality in your unique business is as well. And then lastly, the cherry on top of MMM is it. Like I said earlier, it's a predictive algorithm. Hey, Lisa, would you like to jump in there?
Yeah, thank you. I just wondered, maybe you said it and I missed it, but what is the assumption about attribution? Is it first touch, last touch, multi-touch? Like, what are we tracking against here?
Yeah, so great question. So I get this all the time. So MMM is not an attribution model. So let me go back here to answer this question for you. So what MMM is doing is it's bringing all of your data out of all of those, wherever it sits. It might be sitting in Google, it might be sitting in Facebook. It brings it out of those channels, and we stitch it all together first. And then the MMM algorithm isn't using a first touch or last touch attribution model. What it's using is a statistical model. So what it's saying is we're bringing in all of your data on an aggregated view. We're not trying to first, attribution by definition is our user level attribution is trying to track people around the internet. And then let's say for every dollar I spend as a marketer, I'm trying to say Mary purchased a $50 item, and I'm trying to say that the dollar I spent is directly attributable to Mary. That's what I would call user level attribution or multi-touch attribution, trying to assign every touch in the buyer's journey to a particular individual. So what MMM tries to do is we don't try to track people around the internet because that's become very inaccurate over the past decade. And instead of tracking people on the internet and assigning a value to every individual user, what we're doing is we're aggregating all the data up to a much higher level. And then we're using statistics instead of saying, Mary spent $50 and the $1 Facebook campaign or ad was attributed to that purchase. Instead of doing that, what we're doing is we spent maybe $10,000 on that Facebook campaign, and the algorithm, the machine learning algorithm, is looking at all of your data holistically, and it's finding signals in that data. And what it actually does is said, okay, we spent 10,000 on that campaign. The machine learning has found a signal in all of the data, the holistic data set, to assign a value to whatever it thinks is the highest possibility of sales for that particular spend. That could be a probability of, a probability that the $10,000 has delivered zero because the algorithm can't find any signal. Or it could just arbitrarily say, okay, well, we think there's a signal between $100,000 in sales over here and the 10,000 spend. So we're going to now look at all the signals in the data set and then assign a value to that. And then that's where I was showing earlier. Let me just jump back here on the demo. That's where we're seeing here in the outputs that it's giving you an aggregated view, and it's never going to be a lot of attribution is a binary. Mary either purchased from that campaign or she didn't. As a general example, when you think of MMM, it's not attribution. It's a statistical analysis saying we think the 10,000, there's a 95% chance that $10,000 Facebook campaign has driven 100,000 in sales. And this is the view that we provide here across each of your marketing mixes. Does that help answer the question?
Yeah. It's a predictive model.
Yeah. And someone else jumped in there, David, I think.
It was.
I just joined. Okay, Okaro here. How are you? Sorry, I'm very, very, very late.
All good. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions, comments on what we've seen from Michael so far? All right. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah. And then just getting back to I call this our cherry on top. Why are we doing all of this work? Why are we doing all of this really sophisticated data analysis? And really, at the end of the day, we're doing it so that we can have a better clarity on our data holistically. But really, as a marketer, I want to know what budget I should spend on each channel to maximize my whatever metric I'm trying to measure. Normally it's, sales or new customers. So we've come up with this concept of our budget optimizer. And basically you can come in here and you get you use the power of this algorithm, this all-seeing predictive algorithm, and you can come in and configure it depending on every business is different. Some businesses might want to consolidate their budget and squeeze every dollar out of their existing budget, or maybe even a reduced budget. We can model that, or other businesses are growing quite fast and they want to understand what's the optimum mix and what's the optimum increase in budget before they go past the point of diminishing returns. So we're trying to give a view here around this. Just gives a channel view. The example you're looking at here is just example data. But for a brand that has 5.2 million in revenue off of a $1.3 million spend, this is the existing mix that has come out of the analysis of the past 2 years worth of data. We then give various different scenarios to help the marketer make decisions. In this example, we're keeping the budget the same, but we're optimizing the budget. This is where we say, okay, if you change your model mix to about a 1.4 million in spend, you can get a 13% increase in revenue by just optimizing your existing channels. And then this example is increasing budget by 15%. You can get a 19% increase in sales with a different optimized mix. And this is just another example of a scenario where we model at 30%. But yeah, it's really powerful. That once you've done the hard work to get this set up, you can then, as a marketer, kind of, instead of putting your finger in the air and saying, I think using my intuition, this feels right. And finally, the thing about, for me, what's so exciting in 2025 for marketers is they finally can, marketers' intuition is always going to be important. But they can finally have a data science backed approach to marketing measurement, and then predictive, what should I be doing to do a better job. And finally, marketers have a technology that they can lean on, that is, once it's set up accurately, it's very useful. And it's also, like I said, it's becoming more and more cost effective as the years go on and as technology becomes more powerful. So that's what I call our MMM hub. Unless there's any questions, I'll jump on and I'll just show you our iFactor section. Yes.
Do you have a point of view on the customer acquisition costs versus the ROAS?
Yeah. The neat thing about MMM nowadays is we can measure everything, and it's very much brands have their own way of making decisions. So a lot of brands we work with are very cost per lead or CAC focused, and then they use that as a primary metric. And we can set this up so. The neat thing about MMM is you can actually build the model to measure whatever metric is important to you as your business. ROAS comes into it, and I'm about to show you what we call our iFactor. Other folks call that ROAS, but I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, point of view in what context, Aileen, that which one's better?
Well,
is that what you mean?
There's obviously a trade-off in this example that you're sharing with us, and yes, obviously, each brand team has their own set of metrics, but what gets measured gets managed, right? So if they're using one versus the other, there's an ingoing bias.
Yeah, we try to obviously we consider ourselves a data science company. We can measure everything, but what we do is when we come in to work with a brand, we assign a customer success expert who's an expert in measuring this sort of stuff, and we work with you to understand what you're measuring and why you're measuring it. What are the objectives you're trying to achieve? What we're seeing a lot in the market right now is I call it the great sugar addiction of the past few decades. It's kind of, measuring ROAS, and especially in platform ROAS, marketers have become addicted to ROAS as a metric. And, like the sugar analogy, I'm a big sugar addict myself personally, and I know it's not good for me, but I've had 20 years of, getting sugar hits from various different foods. Similar marketers have become very dependent on in-platform metrics such as ROAS. I'm a big believer of not using on a macro level, not using in-platform metrics such as ROAS to make your decisions. I'm a believer that you should be looking at much more holistic measurement solutions, such as the one I showed you here. And then I'll just get on to the next point. So with the ROAS, we've come up with so ROAS is obviously, you look into your advertising platforms such as Meta, and Meta have a very big data set, but For your unique brand, though, they have a very siloed, and they've actually got a lot of blind spots for your brand. There are ways that you can feed your brand's data into the platform ecosystem, but it is nonetheless it will be an incomplete set of data. So when you're looking at an in-platform ROAS metric, you're looking at an incomplete metric. So it's a good guide to see how things are going in that isolated view. But when you're making more longer term strategic decisions for your business, we're a big advocate for not using ROAS, and to help marketers with that, we've come up with this concept of an iFactor. And what iFactor means is, instead of looking at the in-platform ROAS number, what we're doing is we're pulling all of that attribution data out of the platform. We're cross-referencing it with our model, our all-seeing holistic model that we've built you. And we give you a calibrated number, so which we call an iFactor. So this is just an example of a brand we've worked with recently. These are actual numbers so they were looking into their Google search on GA4, for example, and seeing that Google search was performing at close to a 4 ROAS, in-platform ROAS. This is the actual number that they're looking at when they log into the Google platform. But then once we've cross-referenced it with our MMM, we're seeing in reality the iFactor, or the iROAS that we're looking at. I stands for incremental. It's closer to a 2. So we're a big believer that you should be looking at in-platform metrics to make shorter, smaller decisions, like day to day or hour to hour, and then more holistically, like week to week or month to month. You should not be using ROAS as your North Star, and you should be using a concept like this, which is a calibrated ROAS number, which we at Seeda are calling iFactor. Does that answer your question, Ailey?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. So we, just to continue the demo, we provide this iFactor for each of the channels that we're able to do it for. Obviously, for linear TV, when we don't have a data feed coming from linear TV, so we can't provide the data. But for every other digital channel, we're able to provide a much more calibrated number. So you as a marketer then have a much more accurate read on what's going on. And then, if you thought the difference here is pretty stark. The in-platform is over-reporting by 90%. So if you knew that, you'd make very, very different decisions. So we're trying to give marketers access to this much more holistic measurement methodology. So yeah, that is I'll just pause there. That's you've seen 90% of the demo there. I think it was Lisa who asked the question. Lisa, does that kind of give you a better view of what you can expect to see?
Yes, thank you. That made it much more real and vivid, so I appreciate it. Can I ask a question? Another question?
Sure.
One of the things that I do, and probably everybody else here does to some extent, is work on channel strategy and suggest channels to experiment in. Is your platform capable of saying, of surfacing, this is a channel that you should explore, based on all of the data that you have across all of your clients? Like, are you able to make those types of recommendations?
No. For us, marketing mix modeling is we need data to analyze before we can give you some results. So therefore, you have got to be generating data. You've got to be advertising in that channel before we can actually start firstly measuring. And then once the algorithm picks up a strong enough signal from, for example, a new channel, we were working with a brand just this year, and they asked the same question: should we do radio advertising? And we're not an advertising agency. We're a data science specialist company. So we kind of we're able to give our market research type of an answer, but we're not going to advise someone to do a to start marketing in a new channel. We draw the line there in terms of where we advise, but with this brand, it was in the QSR, the quick service industry category, and we have many QSR clients, and a lot of them were performing really well on radio, both traditional and digital formats such as Spotify, and basically from our generalist view, we said, hey, we're seeing radio doing well for certain brands. It may work for you, but until you start and we start measuring it, we can't tell for sure. So they bought it. I think they did a 3-month media buy on radio. Started for the first time ever, and had really good creative, which is nothing to do with us. And they just had radio creative that worked for them as a brand. And then we started measuring, and it took us about 2 months for the data to come in to be strong enough for us to actually have a significant read on it. But we came back and said, radio is working really well for you. You should go and buy another 6 months of a media plan, because the initial tests that you're doing is showing up in quite a significant way. We're advocating for you to do more radio. So yeah, that's kind of where we sit, Lisa. But we definitely need data to measure before we can give any view.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. And then just follow-up question: what's the lower threshold for where it sort of is break even for a brand to pay for your? I'm assuming it's a SaaS model. It's like a monthly.
It's a monthly fee. Yeah. So it's a hard question to answer, but typically we get brands that are less than 50,000 a month in marketing spend. So, between 500,000 and 1 million a year in marketing spends. And we've looked at the data and we've said, hey, we don't think we're going to be able to generate enough of a return for you to generate, our fee. We think you're better off spending that money on media and trying to grow your brand. Because it's, we try and deliver at least a 10 times return on our fee for the brand in question. So yeah, at the moment I'm drawing the line at about 50,000 a budget per month, and upwards of that, of course. But yeah, I would say that's where NMM is at the moment. There are, of course, then we're a very sophisticated solution, and we have our fees associated with that solution. There are, of course, then open source algorithms that you can start playing around with that are free. But you just need maybe to hire someone to set it up for you. It's not going to be as good as the solution I just demoed for you today, but it's at least then, if you are in that smaller spend range, it's at least going to give you a better read on what's going on top of the in-platform metrics that you might be using to make decisions. And then, yeah, it's like a maturity cycle. You can start open source, and maybe it's not going to be as good or as accurate, but it's giving you a better sense of what's going on. And then as you mature as a brand, there are more sophisticated solutions out there. Then, like I said at the start, Lisa, traditionally they have been hundreds of thousands of dollars to get access to this level of modeling capability. And then our entry fee for our solution is $5,000 per month on a SaaS type of model. So yeah, it's quite at the right time for the right brand. It's quite a cost-effective model to inject in and help you get access to this type of technology.
I had a quick question. This is Kezia. How much is like the lowest amount of spend you think we can have on a new channel to pick up? Because I think sometimes you run tests, and so I understand time, but do we need to have at least $100,000 or $1 million in a test channel before you get reliable results, or like how low?
No. We've seen results in the thousands of dollars. It depends on the channel and the time of year and a whole pile of factors. But typically, a 10,000 media buy over multiple months of measurement, the algorithm's been able to pick up the signal of that spend, and then the algorithm then will auto assign a contribution to it. So yeah, I would say $10,000 and above in spend, and then that'll at least should give you some sort of read as to how it's contributing, and then you can make decisions then whether you want to scale that to test it further or whether you want to just plateau it so you can kind of leave it there. But yeah, that's where I'd say right now it's in the thousands of dollars, maybe closer to $10,000. Kezia,
Thank you very much.
thanks for the question.
This is great. Anything else before we wrap? Michael, what's the best way to stay in touch with you?
LinkedIn seems to be the social media of choice for business people these days. So LinkedIn or if you go to my website, I'm the guy on the other end of the chat bot on my website. So if you want to message me directly on the website, I'm very responsive there as well.
Yeah, and you're in the Slack, so it's also easy to find you there too.
Oh yeah, I'm in all of your Slack groups, David. So yeah, just mention me, please.
Mention or DM. Well, this is great. Well, we'll share the recording for those who couldn't make it, and I'm sure there's just the start of conversations to come. But yeah, it's an important topic to learn about. Important to see like where AI is changing things, and I do love with all the messiness of AI that we can't help but focus on that some areas of making data more accessible and helping us make more impactful decisions. Like there's a lot of good that comes with all the craziness. So appreciate you highlighting some of that.
Yeah, you're very welcome, David, and thanks once again for having me, and to everyone for the great questions.
Terrific. Thanks everyone for joining. Appreciate the great questions as well. And Lee and Kezia, Lisa, everyone who contributed. So yeah, great to see you all, and see you next week.